Ben, what does Curry, Cat, and the Kings have in common?
What do they have in common?
Welcome to episode 47, End of the World for the Mavs. My name's Harriet. I'm joined with Ben. We're in a new studio. I moved.
Yes, you've moved places. We've got a new layout, new spot, but it's good.
Pretty much the same. Sorry. Now, what does Curry, Cat, and the Kings have in common?
I don't know. You've been keeping me waiting. What do they have in common?
They don't have to deal with Kyrie.
That is true. Got him.
So, I think we'll start off with the Dallas
Mavericks. Yeah, we should
out
start
of
off.
the top 10.
Yes, they're currently sitting all the way down in 11th, and it's looking a little dicey for them.
They're only a game behind OKC.
True, but I don't think they should be as low as they are. I think we've seen currently the pairing of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, I think have gone about 3-7 in the games they've played together. Not looking as strong as I think we would have expected.
Yeah, look, they've got Miami and Atlanta next, which is... Look, in theory, right, they've got 5 games left. They could go 4 out of 5, potentially.
They could, but there's this really interesting dilemma, which I want to touch on. Because if they go 3-2 in their last 5 games... And based on how other teams go as well, they're in a really weird position because they might miss the play-ins, but also lose their draft pick, which is top 10 protected. Currently, they are at the 11th worst record in the league. And assuming draft odds go the way they go, then they might actually lose their pick and also not even make the play-ins or the playoffs. It's looking really dicey for Luka right now. They said get Luka help, and currently it's been negative.
They took a bit of a risk. I don't know if it's all Kyrie's fault.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame it all on him, to be honest.
To be quite honest, like when you watch them play, like Kyrie still does Kyrie things.
Yeah,
it's just the defenses, I've watched a couple of games. Kyrie is trying.
Yeah, he's definitely bringing the effort. He's definitely not slacking off at all.
It's just they don't have a good rim protector.
Yeah, I think in that trade for Kyrie, they lost their best defender in Dorian Finney-Smith, and they really don't have a backup option, really.
Christian Wood is like, and I like Christian Wood. I think he's got potential, but he definitely doesn't do much. He's good at shooting. He scores you points, but he doesn't do anything for you on the defensive end.
He's a floor spacer offensively, but defensively is not what you need.
Unfortunately for this Dallas team, they've got enough... Potentially they have enough firepower, but they can't stop anyone.
No.
Luka is the worst transition defender in the league, which may or may not have something to do with the fact that most of the time when he's running back, he's yelling at a referee.
Yeah, he's getting hacked or whatever, and then complaining about it instead of getting back on D. So,
and look, he looks disheartened out there, and...
I think they were losing to the Hornets the other day, like pretty big as well, and he wasn't dapping anyone up on the bench. Like it looked bad, morale wise.
I think it comes from Luka though. Luka's behavior for me is poor.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think at some point you've just got to pull up your socks and go, okay, let's get this done, and. It's just like in every single play, he's yelling at refs.
Yeah,
and it's think about the mojo and the mood and the vibes, right? If you're getting mad at the refs every single time, like how are you supposed to play good?
Yeah, I think the team definitely resonates off whoever their leader is, and if he's out there complaining and looking with his head down, like not looking good, that's going to rub off on the team inevitably.
Yeah, and I just think it rubs off on him, and if it's his team, like he needs to lead, and I think. Sometimes and there's times they get upset about calls and there's times not, but it just seems that Luka is always upset at calls and do better. If someone's hacking you, get the stat. Here's the thing, right? Every single NBA team has stats, has a statistician, has a whole team of people that go through stats, right? If you're finding that certain shots you can't make because you're always getting hacked, look for a different shot.
Adapt, yeah. They've got the analytics to do so.
Go through, work it out. look for something else. Go like, cool, if I'm going to get hacked here, I should look for this, or work something out. Just don't keep running in the same place, getting hacked in the same way, and getting mad at the ref again and again and again, and wondering why you're not winning games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and expecting different results. So,
like,
that's true.
You've got Kyrie, make the best of it. I feel like Luka is just, we're not winning, and I'm doing everything I can, and I don't think Luka's doing everything he can right now.
Yeah, I think he's obviously still putting up big numbers. He's still putting stats on the board, but yeah, I think it's more in the demeanor, in the leadership, and just kind of hustle defensively as well, because we know he's not a good transition defender, but there's got to be more. I think there's a great quote from Eric Spoelstra, Miami Heat coach. Shout out to the Heat. But he's got a great quote, and he's like, would you be playing in the playoffs? Like, pretty much talking about the people go the extra mile when it comes to playoffs. But for these teams, this is their playoffs, effectively.
Yeah.
These are the crucial games. So they have to be putting in that same level of hustle, and I don't think we're seeing that from Luka.
I just think that there could be more. I think he's definitely trying, but at some point you've just he's at 16 technicals. He had 1 or 2 rescinded, which I want to talk about that. Yeah. Add that to the list.
That's true.
But I think that at some point you just have to sit down and go, okay, I'm not going to get I think it's a bit ridiculous where it's literally every single call, every single time he drives the basket, he's yelling at the refs.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like the opposite effect. Like, I referee sports. We're about to go into winter season where I do referee. But if you start yapping at me too much, I'm going to start looking the other way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be like, if you piss off the refs, you're not going to get good calls.
It does not do you any favors.
Happens to us at the local Y as well. If you start yapping at the refs, they're oftentimes just going to be like, screw you. And they're not going to call something just to get back at you. Like, I don't understand why. And like, it happens to me in OzTag as well. Like, my captain is just always yakking at the refs about calls they've missed. When has yakking at a ref ever worked?
Yeah.
Have they ever been like, oh yeah, actually you're right, I did make a mistake, let me reverse that? It's never happened.
And like, it's not all refs, but a lot of them have got a little bit of a fragile ego, and it just does not do you any favors when you're pushing and questioning. You're going to end up getting pulled up for text. So it's not working.
I think that while Dallas defensively struggle, that their offense should, I think they should be like a pre-trade Nets. Like, they still should have the firepower to keep it close.
Firepower, yeah. I will quickly have a reference to last season, because we know they're an offensively very good team. But it seemed like the moment they really turned it around was when they kind of got their defense clicking. And they're actually surprisingly, one of the best defensive teams. I couldn't believe it. But it seems like they've really taken steps backwards, losing some of those role players, not having, I guess, the same game plan, maybe adjusting a bit with Kyrie coming in. And I know that, like you said, we could see them as kind of that like peak Nets, just offense carrying them the whole way. But I think they do need their defense to step up. I think they need that as at least part of their game. I don't think they've got that currently.
I think, they don't have that currently. I think you try and re-sign Kyrie because you've given up too much to get him.
Yeah, have to keep him around now.
I think you try and keep him, and then you try and make some moves in the off season to try and get someone that can defend.
Yeah.
You've still got Luka for like another year or 2 or 3. So this is sort of your last chance before I think Luka will want out.
Yeah, I think priority is bringing in some strong defenders.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one goal.
I think you've got time, right? You have time. You need to keep Kyrie, because a lot of the time they start Kyrie and Luka. Kyrie comes off pretty quickly, and they pretty much just offset them. When Luka comes off, Kyrie comes off. And honestly, that's a pretty valid strat. I think that's a great way of using them both. But you need to maybe right off this, you've acquired a Kyrie, which is still pretty good despite obviously all of Kyrie's off-court antics. If you can keep him on the floor, though, and him not kill your whole team, I think this is not a bad building block.
Yeah.
You need to get some defense.
But yeah, I think that's the big thing for them. They need more defense, and yeah, it might not be enough to save them this season, but going forward next season,
maybe potential.
Yeah.
we talked about Luka getting some techs rescinded.
Yeah, rescinded. Yeah.
Rescinded. And it's been happening to everyone. Draymond.
Yeah.
I could fill up my whole hand with people that have had techs rescinded, which is basically the NBA being like, oh yeah, the refs made a mistake.
Yep.
Why? Why are so many tech? Like, it's this constant question that we keep raising of like, do referees do reviews?
I think they do, but
I hate smack talking refs. Right?
Yeah, because it's tough.
It's a super tough job being an NBA ref. Any sort of refereeing is tough.
Yeah.
From refereeing 10-year-old kids playing soccer to NBA level, it's tough. Everyone yells at you, but when it's a professional league of referees, I do question, like, and we're having all these techs being pulled back. What's the review process? Obviously,
I think they do reviews after the game. They go through and they do like the 2-minute report end of the game for the crucial calls and things like that. But I just feel like we've got so much access to replays in game. I think they do replays when you got coach challenges, right? But for controversial calls that should not have been called the way they were, I don't see why they can't do the review in game and then kind of retroactively. I guess it's tough if you called a tech, someone's been ejected, for example. It's hard to then go and try and bring them back on court. So that's a tough one. But so many calls in game that are just clearly wrong.
There's just so many bad calls, which I don't mind a bad call, but when someone gets teched for dumb nothing stuff.
Yeah, like passing the ball badly to a ref or something like that.
And it's like that stuff, like if it gets rescinded, especially rescinded, goddamn. Getting a rescinded call is quite frustrating because obviously it was wrong and the ref shouldn't have done it, but it doesn't. It still affects the game, and it's only afterwards that they lose the strike. So
yeah, it's almost like too late, kind of.
Yeah,
it's better than nothing. I think it's good that this is at least the league kind of owning up, like, oh, we made this mistake, let's try and correct it. It's just a shame that it is a bit too late, especially if it's been an ejection. Or
I do think coaches should have more than one coach's challenge.
Yep, definitely agree.
And that if they get it right, they keep. Like do an NFL system where if they get it right, they keep it.
100%.
I know that the NBA is very conscious of not trying to extend the game more than it is, but I still maintain that basketball is one of the quicker games to go to, despite the stoppages.
Yeah, that's true.
I think at the end of the day, though, if it's super obvious, there needs to be a way to review something, especially if like, that's the thing. If it's a missed call, cool, play on.
Yeah.
But if a whistle's been blown and the wrong call was made and it's really obvious that it's supposed to go the other way, I think that the ref should have a chance. Or if it's like in the last two, like I know that like some things, like if they call the whistle like in the last 2 minutes, they can review it at any point. But maybe have something along those lines, but build it up. But I think if the whistle gets blown, they should be able to review it.
Yeah, I think at very least, if it's a correct challenge, the coaches should get their challenge back. Yeah. But I'm not opposed to the idea of 2 or 3 challenges in the game, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. I think I like it.
Yeah,
it's like video referee for NRL, like for NRL people. Gosh, people aren't going to know what that is. But
rugby in Australia,
yeah. We have a thing in Australia where like if they don't know if the try was scored or the touchdown, they do a video referee, and then there's like a big screen, and they go, "Oh, try accepted," or like, "Oh, no try."
But yeah, a lot of sports like cricket, like tennis, they've got all the tech in place that it doesn't waste that much time.
Make a spectacle out of it. Be like, "Oh, call reversed."
Yeah. I mean, they have enough stoppages and they get the crowd involved with other things in the stadiums. That's just one more thing they can get them involved with.
But there's a lot of times where it's like, especially in like the first half, there's often some like a really bad call, and they're like, it's so obviously wrong, but you don't want to waste your time out because you can't get it back.
Yep. The coaches want to save it till the end. Yeah.
I call any coach a fool that doesn't save their coach's challenge to the last 3 minutes.
Yeah. So pretty much any call in like the first 3 quarters effectively is just going to go even if it's
let it go
wrong. Yeah.
Because you need it in case there's a really bad call in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah. NBA, give the coaches 3 challenges.
Give them more challenges.
Give them more. Give them 10.
I don't mind challenges, but I think at the end of the day, I don't think people would mind if the game was longer, but if the right calls were being made.
I think people just want to see the right calls be made, really. So
let's talk about this week.
Yes.
Russ.
Oh, what a game.
Today he played really well.
Yeah.
Like I hate I don't want to like keep the man down, but let's give him props. He played really well today against the Grizzlies.
Yeah, they're playing Grizzlies.
I was like, I watched the game. Who are they playing against? The Grizzlies. The Grizzlies. And it was pretty much a rush show.
Yeah.
He had 36 points. He was 5 from 5 from the 3-point line, 13 from 18 from the field.
Great percentages with PG out, with Kawhi out.
Triple dub. Is that 10 assists?
Yeah, 10 assists. Yep.
Triple dub. Russ is back.
Yep. But
no. Yeah, wait.
Double.
Double.
Assist, yeah.
No, he didn't get the rebounds.
Yeah,
that's okay.
But no,
still,
great game. Looked like great shot selection, distributing to the right guys.
Is this the same Russ? What? You're saying good shot selection? What?
But I think that's the thing. Like, yes, he does have questionable shot selection a lot of the time, but I think in the right system it works. And he knew he had to step up this game because he's missing his other two big players on the team. So I think he really did well.
Look, and I think it's maybe it's a Lakers thing where they just didn't know how to use him. Same thing with Pat Bev. Pat Bev didn't go very well in the Lakers, and he's playing better in the Chicago Bulls, which I'll bring that up later. Yeah. But he played really well. But then I guess the other on the tail end of that is Russ had a great game today. They really needed him to step up, and he did really well. But then the other day against the Magic, he was 5 from 14 from the field, 0 from 3 from the 3-point line, 6 turnovers, and a net rating of -13 against the Magic.
So yeah, not a great game there. So the consistency is still not great.
Good Russ with the bad Russ.
Yeah, I guess you take both sides, but I still think you're pretty much getting him over. It would have been John Wall really, so I think that's an upgrade.
I think so.
I don't think John Wall was really contributing. I'd rather take. This is maybe a hot take, but I would rather take Russ's ups and downs than someone who's just kind of mid the whole way through.
Well, John Wall's never really taken over a game since injury.
Yeah.
Whereas Russ has the potential.
Yeah.
If he gets hot.
And I mean, against the Grizzlies, who were missing multiple big players, they pretty much had a starting lineup's worth of players out, but still a big win. I think the Clippers are still kind of jostling for playoff seeding at the moment.
Look,
so
it keeps them in the top 5.
That is true.
Like they're jostling around at the moment with Phoenix and Golden State.
Because at the moment, little wins like this could be the difference between like home court advantage really against the Suns if it continues as is, or even swapping position with the Warriors.
Yeah, Minnesota were 6th today until they lost to the Suns. Minnesota are sniffing around as well, and are doing. And I've actually let's pivot into teams that have played quite well recently. There are 2 teams in the West that have been particularly impressive. One is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Cat has come back from injury, and gosh, that man is a little rusty. but who was it against? Was it Golden State?
I think it was with the game winner.
Yep, Golden State, and they had a good win against the Kings as well. But Golden State, he missed like everything, and then in the last 2 minutes, he was just like, let me hit 2 threes to ice this game.
I mean, look, if you're going to hit shots, that's the time to hit them. So,
dude, I love watching Golden State get mad. It's so fun. And it points a bit of a hole in my trash talking thing, but I love watching Golden State get mad.
Yeah, they're gonna be talking. Funny. So
it's so entertaining, and I was so happy that the Timberwolves beat Golden State.
Yeah, and big win for them because like we've been saying for weeks now, the West is coming down to the last few games. It's going to decide. So
look, Timberwolves had a 4-game win streak until they lost to the Suns, and they beat the Kings and the Warriors.
So they're beating other tough Western Conference opponents, which is looking good coming to the playoffs.
Yeah, like their defense is really good. Conley has been such a difference maker.
Yeah, it's been honestly. A good pickup for them.
And Cat is finally back. Not Andrew Wiggins. Anthony Edwards somehow was only out for 3 games with that after rolling that ankle.
That ankle injury looked so painful, and now he's back.
I thought he was done.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, yep. I said it. I was like, yep, Timberwolves are going to drop out.
Yep.
There's no way they can play without Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards was like, nah, bro, I'll be back. Don't worry. Give me 3 days.
As long as it's not rushed, that's my main concern. As long as he's definitely back, then...
So good.
But no, that's huge. They've got Cat and him back. So.
And they've been getting some reps in with playing the 2 bigs, which is what they want to do, I think it's a very viable strat.
Yeah.
And honestly, Gobert got a little bit attacked today by Booker.
Yeah, Booker.
Booker focused in a little bit on him, and it's so crazy because it's like Gobert's only like a quarter of a second slower than a normal defender. Like there was some shots where Booker was just fading off Gobert, and Gobert still had like
He nearly was there. Yeah.
like half a foot. Is that how big's a foot? Like
Yeah,
less
probably
than half a foot.
Yeah.
Like space, and like a normal guard would have only been a little bit closer. Like he still had a hand in his face, and Booker was just nailing it.
He
and
hits
it's like
those shots. Yeah.
it's that quarter, it's that half a second that a guard would be slightly quicker to react. But Gobert was absolutely killing it on the rebounds. He really is a bit of look. He is a stifle tower. I still maintain, and every time we talk about Gobert and the Timberwolves, I will always say that I think that trade was good. I think that they've got a really fun team because they've got slow-mo, yeah?
Yeah. They got Kyle Anderson.
Like this team is good if they can all stay healthy. Like, and if Kat can get back to where he was, I think this team can run with the best of them, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely want to see their playoff potential because I think playoff-wise they're probably a little bit inexperienced, but they've got the team for it. And it's just good that it's kind of decided to come
Playoff
together.
Experience? What do you mean? They've got Conley and Gobert now.
Well, actually, that is a good point.
And they made the play-ins last year.
That is a good point because the team, like itself, hasn't been to the playoffs a ton, but they've got players now that have been consistently making the playoffs. So yeah, I think Conley is a good leader in that regard. Gobert with experience too. So yeah, honestly, looking pretty good.
They've got a fun squad.
Definitely.
So I've been really, really hype on the Timberwolves. They've remembered how to timber wolf. Woo! And then the other team that's been really, really fun that also went on like a 5-game, well, not like they went on a 5-game win streak was the Pelicans. We should have called the episode the Pelican.
My gosh.
Huh?
I mean, they Pelican at the moment because that 5-game win streak has been huge. They were sitting outside the play-in contention. They were behind the Jazz, the Mavericks, the Thunder. Now they've kind of leapfrogged up, and
it's got them back in the running.
Yeah, it really has. I was kind of counting them out a little bit, but no, they're right back into it. So what a time to turn on the Jets.
Brandon Ingram just was like, "Hey, I got this."
Yeah,
I think he was averaging like 30 points a game for those win streaks.
He's had a good streak of wins. Yeah,
he was just playing absolutely insane.
Yeah, and they've had some tough matchups as well. Because I think they played the Warriors. There was a lot of chat going back and forth in that game.
That was an angry game.
But yeah, they've had a bit of a tough.
They lost to the Warriors. They started off super hot against the Warriors and just couldn't. Unfortunately, in like the fourth quarter, Curry was just like, I hit threes and only threes, and they just couldn't stop him.
Not much you can do there. Yeah.
It was a Steph Curry masterclass on how to pull back a deficit.
True.
And
so
then
that was a tough matchup.
Curry just got everyone hot. But they've done, they've beat
had a slightly easier run.
They beat the Clippers, which I think is the main highlight.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what they can do against the Nuggets, who are coming up. And then the rest of their schedule is rough.
Yeah, I think they had one of the tougher lineups in terms of the last few games.
They've got Denver, LA, Kings, Memphis, New York, and Minnesota coming up.
Which are pretty much all playoff team matchups, really. So
yes, that's going to be pretty rough. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
The good news, it might be too little too late, but Zion has been cleared for on-court activities. He's not cleared to play, but I think he's going to get reevaluated in 2 weeks. So if the Pelicans can scrape in, they might have Zion for the play-ins.
Which would be huge. It's just a matter of making sure that they can scrape in to begin with.
B.I.'s been playing balling out of his mind.
Yeah.
But I'm hype. It's definitely kept things close because in the West, I think Portland have pulled out. They're done.
Yep. I think they're actually resting Dame now because he's got a bit of an injury.
Yep.
So they call it a season.
But I still think that Dallas and Utah are in the race currently.
Yeah.
The next couple of games will be really big for both of them. But then that's the thing. If New Orleans goes on a terrible run, there's a space for someone to come up.
That's true. The only thing is, though, I mean, if they do struggle against these tough teams end of the season, this still banks on, I guess, Dallas getting their act together, Utah somehow making a bit of a last-minute push, and also OKC, who, to be honest, have been kind of hot recently. They've had that buzzer beater lay-in by Jalen Williams the other game. They've kind of looked kind of competitive, which surprises me every time I look at them because they're still a very young team. But SGA just been absolutely balling out this season. Interesting stat I saw: he's been averaging more points, assists, steals, blocks, and better efficiency than Tatum. But I don't think he's even like close to like. Obviously, he's not MVP debate because the team isn't doing well. But like that level of production, it's kind of scary.
Do you know what I was thinking about over here? Just I wanna quickly go through the remaining schedule. But I was thinking, if Luka asked out, I was trying to think of like who has enough assets to trade for Luka, right? And I was like, hold up, OKC are still sitting on like a trove of picks.
Yeah,
an absolute a bazillion picks, and I was like, if they could get Luka without giving up SGA and maybe Chet, like imagine SGA and Luka.
It's kind of terrifying.
That'd be pretty funny.
I mean, huge guard lineup because SGA is like 6'6" or something. If you put Chet back in there when he's healthy, he's like over 7 foot. That's a big shooting team. That's really terrifying. I kind of love it.
You know, you could give up a Josh Giddey and someone else for.
I do like Giddey though. But
I do like Giddey. I would like for Giddey
you'd
not
have to. You'd have to move assets to get Lucas. So,
just give a ton of picks.
I'll just a ton of picks to give Dallas their next whole decade worth of picks maybe.
So, just a random thought because I was thinking like who's stockpiled?
Though,
who's stockpiled enough to get hold of him, or Utah might have enough picks to get the needle moving, maybe.
Potentially.
So let's look at the Timber Daddies. The Timber Daddies have.
Please never call them that again.
No.
Oh man.
You can combine. I
can call
stand by that. You can combine anything with Daddy. It works.
You can, but should you is the question.
So Timberwolves have LA, Portland, Brooklyn, San Antonio, and New Orleans, which that is not a bad.
Not too bad, yeah.
Schedule. That's I would say that's probably one of the better schedules.
I think that locks them in as a play-in team.
The Lakers have Minnesota, Houston, Jazz, LA, Phoenix, Utah, which is like a 50-50.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag.
OKC have Indiana, Phoenix, Golden State, Utah, Memphis. That is pretty bad.
Yeah, a bit tough for that one. So
that's pretty bad.
We'll have to see if OKC can hang on.
And then we talked about Dallas have Miami, Atlanta, Kings, Chicago, San Antonio, which in theory I say that they should be able to beat everyone except for the Kings, in theory.
Theoretically, yeah.
In theory, but we'll see. And then the Jazz have Boston, Brooklyn, LA, OKC, Denver, LA, which is not
It's on the tougher side,
either.
yeah.
So it's sort of... And the Pelicans, obviously, we mentioned, have a pretty bad one as well. So Dallas might be able to sneak in.
Yeah, compared to some of the slightly tougher schedules, I wouldn't be surprised if OKC just drop out, to be honest, because they do have a bit of a tougher schedule.
I think the potential for OKC, I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think LA are safe as long as they don't completely drop the ball. I think Minnesota will be fine. Oh, please, basketball gods, please don't curse the Timberwolves, please. I think that New Orleans and OKC are probably the more likely of the two to drop out. It's whoever gets 10th is sort of a coin flip. I think Dallas have a slightly easier schedule. I think New Orleans, OKC, and the Jazz have a terrible schedule. So it's whoever out of those three can lose the least.
Yeah,
is what's going to go on there.
It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be juicy.
Talking about the Lakers.
Yep.
LeBron came back.
Yes, he spoke to multiple surgeons who said that he will need surgery, but then he spoke to, and I quote, the LeBron James of surgeons, and he was like, no, you got this, bro.
I thought it was the LeBron James of feet.
Oh yeah, sorry, the LeBron James of feet. Oh, had to.
And somehow like rehabbed it back.
Yeah, I mean, and apparently a lot of people are saying that he kind of looked at the Lakers like position in the West and their matchups and kind of went, I can come back and drag us in there, because it looked like the Lakers were out of contention for a long time, but they have had a good run in there, surprisingly, and they're
closer than they should have been.
Yeah,
honestly, they should be. They should be better than like AD's kind of dropped the ball a couple of times. Honestly,
He's had some pretty bad games. He had a big game today, I think. But
It's the
yeah,
Bulls, come on. Well,
It was
to
the
be fair, LeBron came back and they're like, yeah, welcome back. But loses to the Bulls.
Pat Bev just talking trash, doing the too small gesture on him.
Oh my goodness. He
But
too
then
small LeBron.
The Lakers got revenge though.
He
so.
was on their team.
Yeah, but that's why he's gonna, whoever he's on, he's gonna fight hard for them and trash talk
Yeah,
everyone else.
They got wrecked today. The Bulls are making like a weird like run at the end where they've actually pulled ahead of the Washington Wizards now and are actually in a play-in spot.
Yeah, which I didn't really see coming.
Is this the Pat Bev effect?
I mean, he kind of did that with the Timberwolves, like dragged them to a play, and we saw them celebrating like it was the finals.
How does a man that's such a nuisance on court manage to be like the glue that seems to like get everyone's like work ethic together to like pull them?
I think that's the thing. He is a nuisance on court. Like, he gets all up in the other team's grill. He puts in like full effort every single game.
Do you think he smack talks his team in scrimmages?
Probably to hype him up. Yeah, I reckon
It's
to get him riled up.
I just don't understand how someone like so like possibly dirty, but like he hustles really hard, but like it seems like he always seems to bring this culture of just like pushing as hard as possible, and it works.
Yeah.
It's like the third team he's dragged into the play-ins.
I mean, he's not the most technically gifted player, but his shooting's improved over the years. But yeah, I think he just brings hustle, really, and I think every team needs a guy like him. And defense,
I think the Bulls now have a top 6 defense. I think. I didn't fact check this.
Which defense is crucial, so I think that could hold him in there and just sneak him into the play-in. So that's pretty huge for them.
Which sort of fills in that little Lonzo Ball gap.
That is true.
Not on the point scoring, but definitely the defense.
Yeah, because missing Lonzo, I think, completely threw off the Bulls because they actually had a pretty solid season last year with him.
It's such a good squad.
Yeah, so that's been kind of crucial. But I mean, look, obviously the West we've been going on about it being super tight, but the East is still kind of like those 8 to 10 positions at least. I think is going to be close-ish. Or sorry, 8 to 11, because the Wizards could have a bit of a fight back. I don't know if Beal and Porzingis can drag him in there. But yeah, Bulls, I think, surprisingly make a bit of a push. Don't know how they'll go in the playoffs, though.
Oh, I think it'll be a first-round exit, but at least they made the play-ins.
That is true, which I think is better than expected.
Yeah, the Chicago Bulls still confuse me. On paper, they should be... It's like the Pelicans, kind of. It's like, on paper, this team should be way better than what they are.
Yeah.
But, look, at least they have some assets. They could potentially make another move or two in the off-season, but I think that the boat might be sailing.
Yeah.
I don't know. DeMar is still exceeding expectations. I just don't know how you fix the team. I don't know who you could get and what's worth giving up. Like, you need some more defense. Vooch is playing well, but is bad defensively. Like, it's you've got Pat Bev and Caruso kind of for defense, but you kind of need a good rim protector to really take you to the next level. I just don't know.
The thing is with the East, like the West is a lot closer. I'd say it's tougher overall, but the East you have to top one of the big teams because currently the clinch teams in the East, you've got the Bucks who've got the best record in the NBA. I think they just have the most 140 plus point games, by the way, all of which were not even in overtime,
which is wild.
They have some big games.
On paper, I don't think this team's that good.
They might not have the sheer star power. Like, they've got Giannis, obviously, but Drew's had a great season. He just set a career high 50 plus points. I think he had 51.
Picked up this season.
So he's been
finally.
Huge. Yep. Celtics just terrifying offensively, 3-point shooting team. Obviously
Scary.
Some stars there. Sixers with Harden and Embiid, huge as well. And then the Cavs with Mitchell come in as well. So I think you need a team with big stars, and I don't think the Bulls quite can put that together at the top. So I think it's almost a rebuild.
Zach LaVine's always been
star caliber.
And marvelous.
True, but I think to top just like the East is less of a smooth curve like the West having a lot of close teams. It's boom straight up to some really crazy
the
teams.
top 4 I think are the only ones that
super dominant. So
that will make it.
Yeah.
And you could also say that's just the top 3. Like, some people don't put the Cavs up there.
Yeah.
I want to give them a chance.
I personally throw them in there as well because I think they have potential. But
they've got Mitchell and I feel like they've got younger people that haven't had a chance to, like, you look at Mobley and Garland and that team. and not everyone's had a chance to be like, all-star multiple years and be a big player. Like, it's sort of like they're on their way up.
Yeah, it's definitely the beginning for them. And considering how well they're already doing, I think, their peak is yet to come.
I really like the Cavs team.
Yeah, definitely exciting.
I
want to see them do well in the playoffs this year.
I hope they get a couple of rounds in and then keep making good moves.
100%.
I think they've got the basis for a really fun team.
That 100%. Speaking of, I want to quickly touch on young teams that have clinched playoffs. I know you don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. The Kings have clinched a playoff spot for the first time in 16 years, which is the longest drought in professional US sport history. My goodness, they've done it.
How many days later did it happen than when it could have happened?
Long time, I think.
Well, they could have beaten the Timberwolves the other day, but they didn't.
It's been delayed longer than expected, but the day has finally come.
Okay.
They've clinched the playoff position.
I know you have something prepared.
I have something prepared. This is an article, in particular Reddit thread, from 1 year ago when the Indiana Pacers traded Domantas Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton to the Kings. From the Kings.
Did I say bad things about that
trade? We
trade?
both said terrible things about this trade, and I'm 100% accountable. I own up for calls I make. But this was the whole internet, because I want to read off a few of these comments. So the actual title of this is Domantas Sabonis could have helped a number of playoff teams. Instead, he's traded to the NBA's basement, which honestly was accurate at the time. I mean,
that was the take we had, wasn't it? Yeah. We completely trashed that trade.
We completely agreed. And even Kings fans were saying that too. It's like, man, poor guy. He's here for a bad time. But yeah, people just devastated. They traded Tyrese away. You've got Kings fans saying, hang in there, man. Maybe in 20 years we'll make the playoffs again. Just so many quotes that have just aged like milk, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that now.
Yeah. So, and people are saying, like, in 2 years he'll be gone and the Kings will have traded Halley for nothing. So many quotes. Every single one is just absolutely wrong. And this is why I find this interesting. So, it looked like the Kings picking up a guy like Halliburton, young guy, franchise player, like build your franchise around it, rebuild, right? He's already been an all-star this year. And you're thinking, what are the Kings doing? They could have moved Fox, who didn't really prove himself and was the better option. And then Sabonis, who on the Pacers hadn't had great success, but the Pacers were getting a few pieces together.
Do you know why they moved Halliburton? Because they couldn't move Fox.
Well, because they couldn't move Fox, exactly. So it's almost like he's the third piece in this absolute just surprise of a season, because Fox looked like he'd kind of peaked already. He wasn't turning into quite the player they expected him to be, inefficient shooter. But this season completely turned it around. Sabonis as well, all-star, and really led this team. I think this has got to be one of the biggest, even though this is pre-playoffs. They could get knocked out first round for all we know. But I think this is going to be one of the biggest turnarounds in the league we've seen in a long time. Because other than that big trade, which looked pretty lateral really, they haven't made a ton of other moves. They've got guys like Malik Monk.
Look, the Kings are fiery. They've got a lot of passion, right?
Yeah.
Like Malik especially, he's had a couple big games where he's just like, "Grr, I'm Malik Monk."
Trey Lyles has been up in people's faces a lot. Like, they play with a lot of hustle. Best offense in the league too.
Which is funny because they lost against the Timberwolves, and what happened? Gobert was causing a lot of problems for the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And so, for the Timberwolves, for the Kings. Yeah. So while the Kings have the best offense, they do have a lot of firepower. They are beatable.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
And I'll be interested to see how deep they can go and what moves they can make for next season. Because I don't think this Kings team has what it takes to go all the way this year.
No, I'd agree with that. As much as I'm backing them and I'm hyping them, I don't think they're a deep playoff team.
But I think the potential's there. But it's also like, if you play good defense on them, you can... I guess it depends who, but the Stifle Tower was definitely making things difficult for Sabonis.
Yeah, because they run a lot through Sabonis, and when you've got one of the better defenders in the league on him.
There was one point I was just like, Sabonis is just a glorified... But I guess that is what happens when you play the 5. He was just a glorified handoff guy.
Yeah, they run a lot of handoffs.
I was like, this guy's hyped up so much, and all the Kings make him do is run around dribbling and then handoffs.
But that's the thing though, right? Because most bigs, you probably wouldn't be giving the ball as much as they give it to him. He's used every possession, and because he's a threat in multiple ways. Yes, he was handing it off a lot, but he's got so many post moves. I think there was a game I was watching and he hit the same shot. So He's not a bad shooter though, but
Doesn't do it very
he
often,
doesn't
does
shoot a lot. That's true. He's not a high volume, but he's got so many post moves and stuff. I think he's a threat. He's like a, I've said before, it's a bit of a exaggeration, but he's a Jokic light in terms of like the usage. I think not the same skill set, but the usage. But no, I think just the turnaround from expectations. This is literally only last season.
We who opinions cursed ourselves.
Yeah.
Or like Kings, you're welcome. We talked smack about the trade and we made it work.
Exactly. But I'm all behind them. Light that beam. I just think it's good to finally see a team and a fan base that have just known that they're doomed to finally have some good news. So congratulations, Kings fans.
You are doomed. But look, I want to finish off let's finish off shortly, but the MVP discussion. At this stage, honestly, I don't care who gets it.
I think I'm still curious because if it goes in Jokic's favor, that's 3 in a row. I don't think we've seen that in a very, very long time. I actually need to look that up. But
I kind of want Jokic to get it. But there's been all sorts of ridiculous things like Kendrick Perkins was trying to say that if Jokic wins it, then everyone's racist.
I don't listen to a word that guy says.
he's had the worst takes for ages.
They literally have him on the show just because he's controversial. I think he's absolute rubbish.
I don't think ESPN employs him anymore. I think he got let go.
Fair,
but just ridiculous takes. We still need to have a deep dive. I still maintain that I think Jokic makes everyone around him better, as well as his own stats are good, whereas I don't know how much Embiid makes the people around him better. And if that's the only thing that's a difference, then
that's enough to decide.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I think Jokic has played more games.
Yeah, there's an interesting stat. Embiid, I think, just missed his 14th game of the season, and I think the most missed games by an MVP ever was 12.
Yeah.
So I think you need to have that consistency to back up the skill. So, yeah.
And I agree. I was listening to a game today. I'm not a huge fan of Doris Burke as a commentator. Not because she's female. I think it doesn't matter what gender, but people might say that. No, I just don't like her because I think some of her tangents are just a bit too... she just goes off on tangents I don't think are entertaining. And she has some very clear biases at times.
I will say, I haven't even listened to her that much, but you can already tell she has certain biases. I'd agree with that from what I've heard. Yeah.
But she did have a good suggestion today, which I will give her props for. She said that next year, the MVP should have a rule where you are only in contention if you've played 60, like a percentage of games.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
And I'm going to build on that. And I think I've been saying this for a little while now, but there needs to be some form of like a hard criteria.
Yeah.
There needs to be something more now than just most valuable player,
because it's super subjective.
Yeah, there's too many ways to. Is the most valuable player the person that passes the most? Is it the one that scores the most? Is it the one that isn't the best? Isn't number one but does both equally as good?
Like how much does team record weigh into it? Like how much does the narrative weigh into it?
There needs to be a couple of criteria.
Factors, yeah. Because I mean, the other awards, I think you can pretty much put down to criteria. Defensive player of the year, you look at defensive stats.
Yeah.
Most improved player, you literally compare the stats one year to another. So it seems like all of those do have pretty hard stats. The MVP is a lot more subjective though, so I definitely agree with that.
I think there should be, even if there's just like he has to play a minimum of 70% of games or something.
Yeah.
Their team has to be in the top 8.
Yeah.
Top 8 must be, 70% of games, must have X amount of something.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think team record is crucial. I think you have to have a winning team. You can't be on a garbage team and just stat pad. So I think that should be number 1. And then after that, I think maybe across the board stats, because the scoring title for whoever gets the most points. I think there needs to be a more rounded look at the stats.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I think there's got to be some criteria.
Yeah,
it's just too objective. It's too subjective, and there's not enough objectivity, and it's too much about who's got the story this year.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you feel like the media's already picked who they want.
Yeah, which I mean is nice icing on the cake. I think the story is important, but it shouldn't determine who wins. I think that's what you add on after when you've got your MVP, then you look at everything they've gone through. So yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, we're getting very close. We're going to find out soon. It'll be very interesting.
And we're hooping again. We're going to be out of Div 6, I think.
Man, we're going to have a much better season.
Bowling.
So we'll be like the Kings, going from our bottom into the playoffs.
I want to be like the Kings. Thanks for listening, guys. Please like, subscribe, give us some stars.
And share it around.
Yeah, we out. Bye.
See ya.